This meeting is being recorded.
What's up, Coral?
What's up? How are you?
I'm doing great. I like the little logo thing you guys got behind you. That thing's sick.
Right?
Awesome. Hey, what's up, guys? Ike, David,
So,
Sarah.
Hello, hello, hello.
hello.
Okay, so a lot of VGM guys here.
Yeah.
Love it, love it. Hey, Kara. Hey, Anas. Heard you've been killing it.
Doing good, boss. Doing good. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I guess we have Rahul coming in. All right, so I guess we'll give it another couple minutes here, and we will get started. So I'm super excited today. I mean, I'll be covering some appointment setting. I've been doing a metric fuck ton of appointment setting over the last few years. So I've got some really cool stuff that I think will be very useful. Now, I know a lot of you guys are doing outbound via text and stuff right now. Are you guys doing much outbound through social media, like Instagram, like Facebook, like that kind of stuff? Yes.
I'm that person.
Okay, you're that person. Got it. Got it. What about the rest of everyone else? Yes.
On the phone.
Yeah,
On the phone,
everybody
on
else is on the phone.
CRM.
Got it. So through texting, right? And then Kara, you were gonna say something?
Yes, I'm doing outbound social media.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is gonna be great for you then. I've done some extensive testing on outbound setting through Instagram and Facebook and stuff like that. And so I've got a really nice dialed in process that we use to book appointments. So I think that'll be very useful for you all as well. There is an expanded version of that we can talk about later. I wanted to cover kind of like the main meat and potatoes part, so to speak, and then we can continue from there. Cool.
Wally,
All right. So what's up?
sorry to cut you there, man. Quick question. So when you say outbound, right? How do you define it? As in outbound, like reaching out to cold people or followers or something like that, or how do you define it?
Yeah, exactly. It would be reaching out to someone who is not a part of your audience. So it could be someone that maybe liked the comment or liked one of your photos or commented on something of yours, right?
Okay.
It could be a follower or like a new connection, right? So basically we're outreaching them, but they did interact with us in some form or fashion, which is
Nice.
like a comment or something like that. You can do it completely cold. There's a different strategy that goes with that as well, and I can obviously cover that with some of you guys. And I know that you guys do a lot of cold outbound already with the VGM stuff, with a lot of emails and text scraping, that kind of stuff. So you're pretty familiar. Awesome. What's up, Rahul? How's it going? Is that Rahul Punjabi? Punjabi?
Yeah, I'm working with Kara actually.
Okay. Awesome.
We're pretty much on the same team, and yeah, we're doing both outbound via text, phone calls. So I just wanted to ask, right? A lot of the DM principles, do they also apply to texting?
1,000,000%. Yes, they do apply to texting. I mean, it's all the same, right? It's still the same channel. It's just you're in the phone versus on Instagram or TikTok or something like that, right? So yeah, they all apply 100%.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You just get better open rates in text though, versus, DM. Now everybody kind of DMs, so you kind of have to be a little clever, but if you can get somebody's real phone number, you can definitely get better open rates. So something to think about there.
And
All
I
right.
reckon with SMS, they get the notification versus if a DM, it can go to the hidden requests sometimes.
Exactly. Yep. So the only way it doesn't hit in the hidden request area is if it is if they're already following you. If they're following you, then it goes right into the inbox. So that's sometimes the trick, is to get someone to follow you first. So that way you don't have to worry about that. But yeah, we can absolutely talk about some of those finer details as we go through. But I'm gonna go ahead and get right into it. So I've got a little slideshow real quick, and then we'll hop into this little Google Doc. So yeah, hey everyone, nice to meet you. My name is Wally. Excited to see everyone's smiling faces. Just a little bit about me real quick. I kind of brand myself as a copywriter. That's kind of what I call myself. This is my 7th year in digital marketing, and 5 of those years was actually spent in chat. So doing, chat closing, appointment setting, that kind of stuff for a bunch of different people. I led a team for an influencer named Jason Capital. I led his chat teams for about 3 years. And I had a team of about 32 people, all doing appointment setting or chat closing of some variety of form. So I got a lot of experience doing that when I was working in his company. And then now I run my company called I Need This Marketing. And we run basically a done for you DM sales agency for like online course sellers and coaches, right? So my portfolio has basically included people like Jason Capital, Robert Kiyosaki, Jay Shetty, Les Brown, and some other people you might recognize. We'll continue on. So I've got a bunch of the logos right here. You can see I work with a lot of just random brands. This is some results that we got from just email marketing. So a lot of open rates, good replies, that kind of stuff. You can see this lady super excited about some of the stuff she's getting. This was for a trading company that we ran. This was back in 2020. Basically, you can see here if you look at these little dots in, this is an $11,000 deposit. Just a few weeks prior, this was a $22,000 deposit, and then a few weeks prior to that was like a $5,000. So we were scaling this company really, really well, and we did a lot of chat stuff with this company as well. So I was super excited there. This is just some of my commissions collected, not super relevant for this call, but I do like to just put it on there for proof of I know what I'm doing. I've made a lot of money just doing this kind of stuff, so I want to point that out. And then here's a little results from a trading company we did, where we basically did a lot of DM sales and sold basically around 5,000 monthly recurring income, or MRR, and then 9,000 up front, right? So this was just the first month that we did with this client, and they got a lot of monthly recurring revenue. This is one of the first campaigns I did, where we did 11K spend, 38K profit, 38K revenue, 29K profit. So I don't want to spend too much time on that, but I just want to show you guys that I do understand how this stuff works. And I am down to give you as much value, as much knowledge as possible. So what we're going to be covering today is going to be outbound DM domination. So this is literally the same process that I teach my personal team of chat closers, right? I do this business myself in a done for you form, and I collected a decent amount of revenue for clients so far. Just in the last 3 months, we've done around 140K for our clients that we're working with right now. And really the biggest difference between like chat closing and appointment setting is just the price point, right? In appointment setting, we're going to book a call for like, a $5,000 sale. And then in chat closing, we actually sell through chat, right? So no phone calls, anything like that. Cool. So I have a document here. I'm going to start going through that's going to actually go through my entire outbound DM process. So feel free to drop any questions as we go through this, because I'm down to stop and answer those. But yeah, literally this is the same document I use to train my team, so I'm not going to show you anything that I wouldn't show them. Okay, so first thing I want to cover is just kind of why. So in terms of like your skill as an appointment setter, closer, I call it DM agents is what I call my team. They work with a lot of just like really badass experts, speakers, authors. Yeah, I assume Dylan will give you guys the recording. But they work with a lot of really badass people, right? And they're people that can like serve their customer, they can serve them at a high level, and they can actually produce results, right? But usually a lot of those people don't have a large audience yet, right? So they're really good at doing what they do, but they may have not transitioned to being really strong in front of the camera and building up that audience, right? So that's really the power of doing outbound for these specific types of coaches, which is a lot of them, right? They're really good at what they do, but maybe they don't have 100,000 followers. Okay. So whenever you have this skill of doing outbound, especially outbound through any social media platform, you become a really invaluable asset, because you can always set appointments, you can always generate money for the company, and you're not just sitting there, kind of twiddling your thumbs waiting for an inbound lead, right? So the first thing that is super important in terms of this is target selection, right? So target selection being like you want to actually talk to someone who is your avatar. And the one unique thing about social media is what? There's a feed, right? So I don't have to guess about your life. I don't have to guess about anything at all. I can just click on my prospect. There's somebody whoever I'm trying to talk to. I can just click on their feed, and I can start looking and seeing for indicators of things that would make this person a good lead for me, right? So like, obviously some of this stuff is important that I have on the document right here, right? But like, what are some things that would tell you guys that somebody is actually qualified to make a purchase? You can unmute, or you can type in the chat, or anything like that. What'd you say?
They already have paying clients.
Right. That's perfect. Right. Exactly. Right. So if you're like trying to sell to a coach and you're curious if they actually make money, then if you check their social media page, you might see some results, right? That might be a good indicator for sure. What else?
If they're creating content on their expertise.
100%. Right. If they're posting consistently, if they have good, like decent editing, right, they probably invest a little bit of money into their stuff, which is super important. Right. What else?
They're posting their payouts.
Well, that they could be a crypto scammer, right? If they're just posting their payouts.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's an iffy one.
That's assuming that like their content didn't just start last week. Like
That's
they didn't
true.
just start posting.
That's true. That's true. And that's another thing too, right? We can actually like look at their page and see, hey, did they just start posting content like 3 weeks ago? And we can find out if they're like a scammer page or something. David, yeah, if they have reviews, yeah, exactly. Right. Now some of the guys they may not have reviews like on their page, right? Like let's say it's LinkedIn, right? And you can go to their LinkedIn, you see, oh, they've got all these like recommendations or whatever, right? Like that would be a good indicator. That means that they're actually good at what they do. Obviously, the one thing that we left out here is the target, right? It really depends on like what market you're going after. So I would say for most people on this call, we're in B2B, right? We're looking for like a coach or like an agency owner or something like that, right? Is that correct for you too, Kara?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. So LinkedIn, you're probably on LinkedIn, right? And you're probably there checking out their profile. Yeah. Are they posting consistently, right? Do they have good engagement on their page? All that kind of stuff, right? And so the reason I point this out is because a lot of people, whenever they are, deciding who they want to talk to, they just kind of play this volume game, which is they're just like, all right, I have this list full of people. I didn't even look at their profiles. I did no research, nothing. And then I'm just going to start messaging all of them one by one and just seeing like if I can set an appointment or if I can get someone on the phone, right? Now there is one part of that is good, right? You can make the argument of if you just do the straight volume, then you're going to get the numbers that you want. But like if half the people you book on a phone call are not even like qualified for the offer, like didn't you just waste your sales team's time? Right? You waste the time on the calendar. That could have been for someone else, right? There's like a whole lot of problems that come with that if you just like go into book the appointments just to book them. And this was a mistake that I made. I was when I ran this done for you business for a setter agency for a while, I was just about that too. I was like, all right, how many booked phone calls can we get? But then like you have the opposite problem after that, which is if you don't have enough salespeople to handle that many appointments that are coming through, and half of them are garbage, right? You're kind of like tiring out your sales team. Does that make sense in terms of like why that's important? It took me a while to really understand that too, until Dylan yelled at me a few times, and then I was like, oh, okay, like that makes perfect sense. Yes. But okay, so for target selection, right? Obviously, you guys know who you serve and who you're looking for, but I do want to cover this just in general, just in terms of go through like the framework, right? So you want to do your research on the people you're going to be messaging on LinkedIn. Now, obviously, I know you probably use some kind of automation to like mass connect and stuff like that. That's different. I'm talking about like whenever the person comes in and is like actually starting to chat with this person to set an appointment, they should definitely start doing their research right at that moment, to like looking through all these chats, right? You want to make sure that they actually fit your target demographic, right? Are they a good fit for your services? This stuff right here is more about like where they hang out. And I think that you guys have figured out that they hang out on LinkedIn for your particular market. So we don't need to go too much deeper into this part. But I like to think of everything I do in Outbound in terms of like sniper bullets instead of like a machine gun. So meaning like if I was a sniper, and I was shooting people with a sniper rifle, I don't have that many bullets, right? So I've got to be incredibly precise in terms of my shots, so to speak, right? Because you would much rather have like very accurate and very good appointments set that close versus a lot of appointments and half of them close or maybe less, right? So that's kind of the idea here with that. Now, obviously, it's a balance, right? Because if you got a ton of leads, then also you kind of have to balance it with speed. So there is some give and take, of course, but for the most part, you want to lean towards the quality side. And then once you get really good at booking quality appointments, then you can kind of come down and start like going for more speed, so to speak. Okay. So these KPIs are really relevant specifically for Facebook and Instagram. And so this is when I message someone that is not my follower, right? So this is a cold outreach. This is like completely not attached to my account, anything like that. These are kind of your benchmarks. So I say KPIs right here, but really these are limits. So the first limit is like if you're if you're greater than like 20,000 followers, you can send like 10 to 12 messages per hour on Facebook and Instagram. That's how many you can send about per hour, right? Full outbound. If you go over this, then they're gonna like usually get upset at you and like block your DMs or something like that, right? And so I wanna be clear here. If they are your followers, you can message them, like you can message more of them. You can get up to like 70, 80 a day if it's your followers. But if it's somebody that is cold, then this is the limitation, right? I saw a thing in the chat. Honest, he says separately on each platform. Correct. Yes, exactly. You can do 10 or 12 on Facebook and 10 or 12 on Instagram. The next limit is less than 20,000. Less than 20,000 followers, you're limited to 5 to 7 messages. And then the next lower limit is like if you're at less than 5,000, then you really don't go over like 3 to 4 messages per hour, just to be on the safe side. And remember, this is like people that are completely cold. You've never talked to them before. They've never touched any of your stuff on social media. This is like your complete cold outreach, right? Okay, perfect. So that's kind of KPIs and limitations for that. Now I just want to talk about safety. I always think it's important to buckle up, buckle up for safety in the car. So buckle up for safety in the DMs. Number one, do not rapid fire or send all your messages like for the hour in the same 5 minutes. So don't just rapid fire them all out in like 30 seconds. The reason being is because Instagram is going to look at that, or Facebook's going to look at that and be like, oh, you got a bot. We're going to flag you. It goes down in the DMs, right? Exactly, Laura. This one right here, do not ever exceed the recommended number of DMs as described in the KPIs above. You can definitely play with the barrier, right? The reason I put this barrier here is more because whenever you go past the barrier, that's whenever you get your DMs locked for a day, or like your DMs locked for a week or something like that, right? So I would much rather play like in the safe ranges and then just kind of maximize that rather than kind of test the limits, so to speak. Specifically for DMs. Okay. Does anybody have any questions or anything so far? Because now we're going to start getting into like who's most priority to outbound DM. Like who's the hottest lead, who's not the hottest, etc.
I have a question.
What you got?
Are we getting a copy of this document today?
Yes, I'm gonna let you guys download this document. Yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Okay, cool. Anyone else? Good. Awesome. All right. So how-tos and rules is what I'm gonna cover next. Okay. So first thing is like things to avoid. This is super obvious. Some of these will be, but you'd be surprised how some of the things you have to point out for people. Anyway, so first thing is avoid anything that looks like a spam page, right? So anything that's like if it evidently looks like a spam page, we want to avoid those. And those definitely exist on all platforms. Avoid anything like OnlyFans or adult related content, right? Again, I shouldn't have to say that, but it's you'd be surprised. Avoid it.
Damn, man, that was my whole strategy.
Right? You want to run ads for those guys. Anyway, so avoid non-active profiles like follow bots. So you can kind of tell what these are. They usually have like a low ratio of followers to people that they're following. So it's like 200 followers and they follow like 2,500 people or something. Obviously, I'm talking about specifically Instagram here. And then obviously avoid any profiles where you can tell this person is from a third world country, or like where the USD is not in their favor. Just in terms of setting the appointment, right? Nothing wrong with them as people. It's just more about like finding someone who's the qualified lead that's going to buy your stuff. Okay. The next thing I want to cover is just who should I be outbounding first? And so I have this in order. And sorry. I have this in order from top to bottom because it is probably the most important thing to remember, because there's like unlimited number of people to outbound, right? But it's more about which ones are the highest the highest engaged, which ones are the most likely to book appointments, and which ones are the most likely to buy, right? And so in this case, like this is going to be the order. So I do this thing called a poll call to action. Do you guys know what how to run a poll on Instagram, right? Okay, so it'd be like you run a poll on Instagram, it'd be like, hey, I got this free cheat sheet for you on how to, scale your ads this year or whatever, right? Do you want a copy? Yes or no? And then people that hit yes, you would then send them, a copy of this lead magnet, right? That's a poll call to action. So these people are like the hottest ones, right? So if you put up something like that on your Instagram or your LinkedIn, and people tell you that they want your freebie or your lead magnet or something like that, that's like your most highest potential buyer, right? These people are like, not only do they want to be spoken to, they want to get your thing, right? They want to talk to you and they want to get your thing. So it's if you think of it kind of logically like that, it makes sense why this would be the highest in terms of buyer. The second one is a commenter on a post, right? So these are the perfect people to outbound because they literally are trying to talk with you already, right? They commented on your post. They said, hey, you're cool. I like what you did. Or maybe they made a comment about, how insightful your post was, right? These people are literally asking you to DM them because they're trying to engage with you in conversation through your posts, right? So the next best thing is obviously in the DMs. The third one is active story viewers. So this is like anybody who is if you notice on your client account or on your account that you've got 5 or 6 or 7 different business owners that have started watching your stuff every single day, that would be a great indicator to just send them a message and see what's up, right? Because you can never know.
I have a question for you.
Sure.
So something that I see very, very often is reel pages that have some kind of automation software where they're watching and liking your stories. What do you have to say about that?
I think it's a great idea.
I'm saying, but in terms of reaching out to them and prioritization, because they're actually interested.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's a great idea from the marketing side, and you should definitely use it. But then in terms of for us on the outbound side and thinking, should we talk to them? I think if they are someone who is like an influencer in the space, right, or someone that has high credibility, I would say it's not really worth it to outbound them. Because they would have, at a certain level, they're just going to send you a message, right? I run an account for this guy. He's got he's got 112,000 followers right now, and he does financial planning and financial advising for people. And the guys that have all the followers that message, they don't come in on a CTA or anything like that. They just message in, and they're like, hey, I saw your videos. I want to buy your stuff. It's it's literally almost as direct as that, So I would say no in that case, Coral. Just for people that are kind of, they seem like influencer, or they seem like someone who likes marketing automation.
Even an influencer, just for example, obviously our target audience is a coach or a consultant. So there's really coaches liking my stories, for example. I see them also liking Laura's stories, but you can tell that actually trying to engage with you.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, I mean that's them trying to game the system too. So I don't know. I would say kind of play it by ear, but I would lean towards like going ahead, because in you and Laura's specific case, you guys actually help coaches and stuff anyway. So it doesn't hurt you to not engage with them, if that makes sense. Yeah. But that's a good question though. Number 4 is new followers. So people that are like newly, like, so this could even be like new connections or new friends, right? Or on Facebook, but new followers on Instagram are a big deal. Because they actually took the time to press the follow button, which signals, hey, I at least like am interested in your stuff, right? And then last one is like likes. So when somebody like likes your photo or likes something like that, I would consider this like the lowest level hanging fruit that you should go for. Because just because someone likes your photo doesn't mean that they want to buy your stuff. It just means that you had a cool photo. So that's a prioritization for these overall. Does anybody have any questions on this? Okay, perfect. And so I actually have the next case covered, which is, let's say you run out of followers and friends to talk to, and you need to talk to new people. So I've got some ideas for that for you guys as well. What if I run out of the people to message using the list above? On Instagram specifically, and obviously on Facebook, this is true as well. You just have to be careful. There are literally infinite numbers of people to talk to, right? So the best 3 places to find potential buyers outside of your base of followers is really just these 3 places. There are millions of places actually, right? But I found that these are the best ones if you just want to get the most bang for your buck for your time. First one is the followers of your top competitors' pages. I'll give you an example. There was this guy we were doing. He was an online golf coach swing. Like he basically teach people how to swing a golf club online, which is really interesting. Anyway, how we got 90% of his clients when we were working with him is there was actually a local golf facility that would like they did golf lessons inside of Dallas, Texas, and they had like 40,000 followers. But most of the clients that my client was working with, he found that a lot of them went to this school first and then bought from him afterwards. So he just went straight to the source, found them a page on Instagram, and just started messaging their followers. And that's how he was able to build a good bit of revenue for his business, right? So that's a great place, right? Is like the followers of your top competitors' pages, searching through specific hashtags, right? So here, an example of this is like on Instagram, it's kind of hard to tell, where people are at base, right? You kind of have to like you got to hope that they put like a little American flag in their, profile or something. You kind of have to get some kind of indicator, right? If you're not really sure. So another way to do it is if you search through specific hashtags, like with the city. So we did this with a real estate investor out of Canada, right? And so he only wanted to work with Canadians who wanted to do cross-border investing in the US. Okay. So we had to search up the hashtag real estate investing Canada and like start looking through all these things to be able to book appointments for them to be able to sell this offer to them. He had like 800 followers at the time, nothing too super crazy, but we were able to book a decent amount of appointments for him that way. So looking through specific hashtags, really important. And then this one should be obvious. Somebody says this all the time, but sometimes like we need to be told things a couple times in a row until we actually do them. So this is one of those for me. Followers of influencers in the same niche or industry. So like, for example, let's say that you work with public speakers, right? Well, people who follow public speakers probably could be your customers, right? So that's kind of the idea here. So like we were working with like Les Brown, people that were guaranteed to be a public speaker were people that follow Les Brown, right? So we could just go through his follows and find a lot more of these speaker types. That's pretty much it for the like additional places to go get leads. Now I'm curious, as I was going through those, did another one come up in your mind that I didn't mention here in terms of social? Because these are the best ones I found, but I'm always down to learn.
On Facebook, I found that if you search by a keyword that your ideal audience might use, you can find them that way.
Like Facebook SEO type stuff. Nice.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah. And this is obviously if you're hunting for leads, right? Ideally you're working in a Facebook group or something where you're not having to like just like go find any lead ever, right? But for some people, like David, what about relevant groups? Yeah, exactly, relevant groups, right? So like, for example, like this golf guy, right here, he could easily go find a bunch of like golf coaching groups on Facebook or like golf groups, and you can probably find a bunch of like clients there for sure. So relevant groups for sure. Cool. Okay. The last part I want to go over in this training is the scripting. So what I find is that most important thing with the scripting for outbound DMs is pretty much context, right? So it's the only thing that really matters is context. Because basically the reason that someone, like when somebody reads your DM and they have no idea who you are, the only thing they really care about is like what do you want? Right? I mean, you guys got random messages from people all the time on social, right? And the first the first question, at least in my mind, is I'm like, okay, like what do you want? Or like, why are you messaging me? That's kind of the two things, right? So if we know that right now, then that's the two things that we need to tackle whenever we like go for this, right? So for example, so I have a bunch of scripts right here that I wrote out for this. Let's say that somebody said they wanted a cheat sheet, right? They said, yeah, I want your cheat sheet, Laura. I'm gonna press the button on your thing. Okay, cool. And so we would just message them and say, awesome name. You know, like obviously we wouldn't say name, we would say Sally or whoever it is, right? Awesome, Sally. So here's what I promise. You give them a link and you say, just curious, what made you interested in my cheat sheet, right? Super basic, very, very simple. But these messages get really good replies because I'm just giving them the context of why I'm messaging. So I'm like killing all of this like brain fodder ahead of time, right? Another example of this is like, hey, thanks for hitting yes on my story. You know, here's the gift. Enjoy. Let me know if you have any questions at all. By the way, what made you interested in my cheat sheet, right? For example, one of the clients we work with, we give out a cheat sheet to get to 100K a month tinting cars, right? So that would be an example here. It's like, hey, what made you interested in my getting to 100K per month cheat sheet? So that's it for like people like that have a lead magnet. And there's a couple examples here there. The next one is for people who comment on posts, right? So this one's like not super crazy, right? There's 3 different examples I would give here. For people that comment on your posts, you can say, hey, I appreciate you commenting on my post. You know, just curious, what'd you like about it? This one's good. It's like, you say their name, Sally, I just read your comment on my post, LOL, right? Remember that these first messages that we're sending someone, especially on cold outbound, is really to get a response, right? So they don't necessarily have to be like pointed towards making a sale or anything yet, but it's really just like, can I get them to like play ball with me, so to speak? Okay. Here, example 3. Hey, thanks for the comment. I'm giving away a free copy of my. So this one's a little more pitchy because we go right into giving away a free lead magnet, and you can totally do it that way. It just depends on like how you want to run your outbound system, right? This one for active story viewers, like I mentioned earlier, right? Same thing, just hey, I'm giving away a free copy of my cheat sheet book or whatever to my story viewers, right? You notice I'm like very specific on the context, and I found that if you're very specific on the context, you get much better reply rates. If you don't say because of I saw your post, or you don't say like why I'm talking to you, then you tend to just get read. That's just from my experience. So because they think it's like a mass message, right? But if you kind of cater this just a little bit, then you'll get better responses. Cool. So the other one is obviously for people who are new followers. So it's like, hey, I appreciate you following me. Just curious, what'd you like about my content, or why'd you follow me? Another one is like, hey, thanks for the follow. Just curious, how'd you find me? Another one, hey, I appreciate the follow. Just checked out your page. Are you into something too, right? So really, you'll notice that a lot of this is just all context. It's just all context and making that better.
I have a question.
What you got, Dylan?
So couldn't you use context too for just people you follow? So like hypothetically, right? Obviously you and I are friends, but technically if I wanted to, I could be like, I could reach out to every person that follows you, be like, hey, I was reaching out, I saw that you follow Wally, like we've known each other for a long time. You could give context to like why you're reaching out to them, and even the same people that you follow, and kind of lean on that for context, right?
Yep, 100%. Yeah, actually, this example right here is exactly that. It's like, hey, appreciate the follow. Just checked out, or well, obviously this is a follow. But like, yeah, you could like, let's say it's like Les Brown, right? And you're trying to talk to someone from Les Brown's page. Say, hey, saw you follow Les Brown too. And I saw that you commented on this post. I thought that was really funny. Haha.
Oh yeah, dude, the sky's the limit. You can do that. You can literally message anybody for anything and just come up with context. That's awesome.
Yeah, but that's the most important thing is context, right? Because, right, we're killing the, like, why are you talking to me? Right? Why are you talking to me? And what do you want? We're killing both of those at once. So, but you see how like that's a much better opening message than saying, hey, I work with, coaches and I help them scale the business 2 times, but whatever script you want to insert there, right? It's just better to kind of start the conversation with them, and then you kind of get into that business later, right? Okay. So then the last one is actually, Dylan, you kind of hit the nail on the head for this last one, because I basically have in here the formula for non-followers or people who are not engaged with your stuff, right? So it's like, hey, I saw that you follow like Les Brown. Are you also into motivation and public speaking? Or, hey, I also saw that you follow Dylan Starr. Are you also a sales guy? So are you also a sales professional, right? Are you also into sales, or do you do phone calls? But yeah, you could totally do this for just about anyone.
I
Yeah,
got a
something like that.
question.
What's up?
For somebody, let's say you were going to use example 3, and it says, saw that you commented on, let's say, Les Brown, right? Or somebody who is relatable to that person. Would you also say, like, are you also a coach, knowing that they're already a coach?
So I would say, instead of saying, are you a coach? I would say, they would call it a cold read. And I would say, I would say something like, hey, I just take a look at your profile. It seems like you're a coach.
Got it.
Yeah. So you just, instead of me asking them, I kind of make a guess. Right. And they're like, yeah, I'm a coach. Or they're like, no, I'm not a coach. Or they might be like, thanks, I'm just starting. I don't know what they're gonna say. But if you say it like that, instead of asking them directly, but you kind of make a guess, that can be a way to go through the conversation. Cool. Okay. So that's it for this outbound DM presentation here. So I want to stop sharing my screen. I'm actually going to drop this link in the chat, so that way you guys can have that for your documents. Feel free to make a copy, do anything that you need with that there. Yeah, and that's literally what I train my team on, so I didn't leave anything else out. If you have any questions, though, I'm definitely open up for Q&A at this point to discuss any of that stuff. And I know that you guys are doing like LinkedIn outbound and text outbound and stuff too, so I'm down to discuss any of that. What's
I
up?
have a question. We are having a really hard time. So LinkedIn is like going off like Donkey Kong. We actually closed a deal from LinkedIn today. It works really well. My avatar is tech founders. Thank you, Laura. Thank you. Dylan. My avatar is tech founders and SaaS owners. And so just to bring it back for a minute here, we used to fucking dominate on IG and at Facebook when our avatar was realtors. So it always worked really well for us. And I've used some of the previous ways in which to find some of these people and do some of that. And we like cannot find these people on Instagram and on Facebook. I also wanted to know if you know much about Twitter and purchasing the verified check, if that gets you to slide into the DMs, if you've been using that as a strategy, but if you have any ideas around how we can do better at finding these people, because I would love to identify other channels that we can reach out to them on.
Yeah, that's a good question. I feel like LinkedIn and Twitter is where you're at. Because yeah, like when you said like SaaS founder, techie startup guy, like immediately my head thinks of like crypto, and they're like, some of those guys probably get into crypto. Some of those guys are like,
maybe not anymore.
maybe yeah, right. Yeah, they're hurting right now. But yeah, that makes me think LinkedIn and Twitter for sure. Now, I would say on the Twitter side, I don't think I would love to hear someone that is booking appointments on Twitter effectively, personally. I find that Twitter is like more of a place where, you troll people. You show up at 5 o'clock in the DMs and you troll someone every day at the same time every day. I feel like Twitter's kind of like the the bully's playground.
That's interesting. So I know people that are booking a lot of appointments on Twitter. I've actually been
Okay.
buying stuff off of Twitter, but it's the outbound thing is hard. It's more of an inbound play leveraging lead magnets, but first you have to build your audience. So you have to go out and like authority jack the big accounts, like leave valuable things. What's been working for me to build my account is I find a good tweet and then I say what my biggest mistake in relation to that tweet was and what I wish I could have told my younger self.
Okay.
And that's
dope.
been bringing me more followers and engagement. But the key is build up the audience first, then leverage lead magnets. But outbound is hard because they just like literally in the last quarter, maybe, they cracked down on scraping on Twitter. But it was an
Got it.
open playground until then.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. I'm glad you told me that. Yeah. I personally not really been much on Twitter. I'm like more on Instagram, Facebook. And I'm getting into LinkedIn now, but definitely more on that side.
Any
Dylan
Discord
brought,
experience?
yeah, I was just gonna, Dylan's got a good idea. Anything we can do with Discord?
There's a lot you can do with Discord. I mean, it's a messaging platform, right? So it's very, if you have a community, then you could obviously run a script where you do something very similar, right? You can make a post in one of your channels and like somebody can, yeah, it can run a very similar way, in terms of that as well. I guess more specifically in Discord, what are you thinking, or like, could you be more specific with your question? Are you looking
Just-
for like a specific strategy of what you could do?
Yeah, I was just thinking, like, do we need to make a strategy where we go and join other communities and then create this DM strategy out of? Because like, I love all these ideas and I'm a social media person, but we just don't. I
Mhm.
cannot duplicate myself right now, but I can duplicate other people to be sending these messages.
Right. 100%. So yeah, in Discord, that's interesting. Now, of course, if you're just joining Discord servers and DMing every single person, I don't think that makes sense. So for me personally, it's like you get into communities somehow, that have the avatar that you're looking for. But if you can't do it through like those normal means, then you have to do it through. I think with LinkedIn, you guys have got it really really dialed in, and you should just continue hitting like that space particularly. I mean, what's your like? How many can you sell? Like let's like
I
what's
have no
the
I have no cap on my done with you.
okay? You have no cap with done with you. Perfect. So
It's
it's
1,000 a month cap, Kara. It's 1,000. You cannot sell more than 1,000 a month right now. There's
okay, well
No
that's
cap.
still that's
No
pretty
cap.
much a no cap to me. That's pretty much a no cap to me. But yeah, so I mean, you already have it in that one channel. I mean, like I could see where maybe on Facebook groups you could do it, but do I think that a tech founder is gonna respond to a random Discord message, unless you were like deep in like a crypto community or like one of those communities? I highly doubt it.
Because like in Discord, like if
Yeah.
you're not connected, like it's just gonna go into like an other folder too, just like all the other
into
places,
the
right?
ether. Yeah, dude,
Yeah.
you got to be very careful with Discord. I'm just now getting in that playground. I think it's great for the B2C market, because you can join those type of bigger communities, and like these Twitch streamers are all in Discord. So if you have a product for that type of audience, then yeah, go all in. But he's right? You need to know exactly what is the communities that you're going after. For example, if you are part of Neo Tokyo, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Neo Tokyo, but it's Alex Becker's NFT project.
Mm.
Well, that literally is a high value community of like fucking SaaS founders, like all these big high level CEOs, but it's pay to play. You have to buy a
you gotta buy into that,
$20,000 NFT to get into that community.
Yep. It's about who you, because yeah, you're not gonna just go and like but let's say that now you're in the same community as that SaaS founder, right? He sees, oh, they've got the Neo token, right? Then he's gonna be much more likely to talk to you then, for sure. So yeah, you have to figure out how to become a part of the community if you're gonna do it in Discord, just
Okay.
because well, spammers and other people have ruined that game already.
Yeah,
I have,
like
All the
I've been
phishing
had an
links.
account and I'm fucking filled with spam. It's insane. That's why I hate
Mm.
going on there, because I just have so much spam. I hate looking at it.
I have more questions, but I don't want to jump in front because I'm sure other people do, unless no one does.
Appointment setting questions? Anyone?
I do, but it's more catered towards, you mentioned in the beginning of the call that the point of DM setting or talking to them in the DMs is to get them to buy in the DMs. How is that conversation happening without jumping on a call? Like, what is the framework for it?
That's a good question. So, well, that's for actual DM closing, right? That's not necessarily appointment setting. It's a very similar process. I can do it really quickly in boxes. So
Please.
like
I missed
this is
that. What was the question?
What is the framework for setting or getting deals closed in the DMs?
Yeah, so to give you more context on that, we have this $1,000 offer that we were like, could be so easily closed because we have this free thing, this implementation guide that we're giving up front. And
Mhm.
like, if they need more support, we can easily close $1,000 front end plus like $97 a month on the back end.
Mhm. Okay. Yeah, that's easy.
Teach me your
Okay.
ways.
Wait, what'd you say?
Teach me your ways.
Oh, got it. So I'm just gonna like do this at a very high level because it's like getting into the individual scripting is a lot. So I think it's better to cover like high level first, and then you have like pieces of it that kind of go, right? So this right here, David says, bathroom break, please. Well, there will be a recording, so if you need to use the restroom, you can still come back and you can watch this in a minute. Okay, cool. So we have some kind of way that a lead opts in, right? So we'll say lead opts in for something. So this could be like a lead magnet, or like maybe they just sent you a message because they thought your video was cool, etc. Right? Now we're gonna have a little bit of a chat with them, have a conversation with them, and then we're gonna basically what I call a video link drop. But basically, this is a mini VSL right here.
Okay.
So we have this, and then we do that. This is like an order form, and this is oh, come on, there we go, money.
Got
Okay,
it.
cool. So lead is gonna opt in for something, right? We're gonna have a so I like to draw it like this. We're gonna I need a different color, sorry. Go. So I think of these like stages, right? And so we have stage 1 is over here, stage 2 is over here, and then stage 3 is over here. So I call this right here the setting phase. This one right here is like objection overcoming, clarifying, and then clarifying, or we'll just say OO again, and then LMR is what I like to call this. So I'll cover this in just a second. All right, so end to end, this is basically how it works. So lead is going to opt in for something, right? So it could be a free lead magnet. It could be, I just said, hey, DM me this word, and I'll get you some more details, something like that, right? Then what's going to happen is we chat with them, right? They opt in for the thing, we give them the lead magnet, and then we'll start kind of having a conversation with them. Then once we have a little bit of a chat, we qualify them here in this setting phase, right? So appointment setting, kind of, right? Once we get the appointment setting, or once we've like qualified them, made sure they're a good prospect, then we're then going to show them the offer, which is the video link, right? Show them the offer. They're gonna be like, cool, I like it, or be like, no, I don't like it. And then at that point, we will then drop them a payment link if they are interested. And then they
They pay.
They click the payment link and then they buy. Yeah, that's pretty much it, right? And so these little phase things that I have drawn right here is more about like what happens in between, right? So like right here, I call this the setting phase because it's like we are qualifying them right here.
Right.
Call this one right here the objection overcoming and clarifying phase because usually at this point they've seen the offer, so they know how much it is. And so then they start asking questions like, why do I got to pay? You know, why can't I have it for free? You know, could you give me a loan? You know, that kind of stuff, right? So that stuff kind of happens right here. And then at this point right here, you have a little bit more objection overcoming. And then we have what I call LMR, which stands for last minute resistance. So this is like, you know, can I do it tomorrow? No, like, you know, so like they kind of like try to put it off at the end, if it makes sense. So
Mhm.
does this help in terms of just what that looks like?
100%. Yeah, in that retrospect, yes. Now, I guess my next question, which I guess is a little more nitty-gritty, is what kind of qualifying questions are you asking other than what's your revenue this year? What are you projected? Like, what is your goal, etc.
So that's actually a really good question. It depends on your customer, meaning that is this a business owner or is this like, are you B2C or are you B2B, right? Because if well, the reason I say that is because in a B2C account, I'm going to ask much different questions versus in a B2B account, I'm going to be much more direct. The reason being is because when you're in B2B, you're dealing with business owners, right? They really don't want to well, am I going to ask Alex Hormozy why he wants to make generational wealth? No, I'm not going to ask him that
Yeah,
question.
but also the frame. So like these aren't real business owners. Like these are wannapreneurs buying at this offer. It's not even like it's not anybody here. You know what I'm saying?
These are people
Right.
making under 100K.
Right. No, I get it. But they still they don't have the right identity yet, meaning that they're you're right that they're still entrepreneurs, but they still they still identify as a business owner. So you still need to talk to them like one and hold them to the standard of one, if that makes sense. But yeah, basically it comes down to B2B or B2C. B2B, get down to business fast. You're asking, you know, like what do the business owners care about? They care like, is this a scam? Does this work? Is it going to produce results? How long is it going to take? Like that's pretty much it, right? So Carrie, you said, does this work better for B2B or B2C? When you say this, what do you mean by this?
The closing, like what you're going over now.
Oh, got it. It works fine in either case. It's just like no different than selling on the phone to a B2B, like a business owner versus like someone who's like a normal consumer. It's the same thing for sure. So it does work on both sides. Like I sell a 997 course for one of the guys that I work with, and then another one I sell a 99 course, and I also sell a $5,000 coaching package in the DMs for him. And yeah, so it works. It works on the B2B and B2C side. You just have to like you have to do what I call a triage, but you have to know who it is that you're talking to, right? The biggest mistake I see with like people who get into DMs is they kind of try to treat everyone the same, right? Without like looking at their profile and taking into account that they have, you know, just like other things that make up a person. That's the power that you really have with social media is that you can get all that additional information so you know, okay, like I need to talk to this guy a little differently, you know?
And what about like the price of your product? How do you decide if you should try to close in the DM versus?
So I would say if it's under like $3,000, I would say close in the DM for me personally. But if it's over 3,000, then it starts to you start to like it starts to be a big enough transaction that someone needs it. Now there is a way to overcome that though, which is I'll actually share that with you guys. I was just attending a mastermind and I got some insight on this. So if we have like our like funnels, right? So if this is a funnel and it's not like the best funnel, okay? It's like kind of a funnel. Okay, so if this is like top of funnel, and then we have middle funnel. Okay, so this is like our stages of the funnel, right? So I want to label this the social funnel, meaning like if I'm gonna make sales on social media without phone calls, how do I have to do it? So I call it the social funnel. So the first thing is you have your short form, right? You have your short form, that's like your Reels, TikTok, etc. Right? This is your short form content goes here. And then middle of the funnel this is like lead nurture, because people are ADD nowadays, and so they don't have the attention span to actually watch like anything. But if someone does watch your long form piece of content, that means that they're a really good lead, if that makes sense. So you're really making it for those people and not to like get views, so to speak. You're really just making your middle of the funnel lead nurture content just for the people who are engaged and want to actually get more information. Okay, so lead nurture, this is like YouTube videos. It's like 8 to 12 minutes. And this is like on core problems or pains your audience. Right. And then you have these, which I call 5130, or it's like a direct call to action. So it says something like, I'm looking for 5 more people who want to X in Y time this year. DM me the word whatever. Let's just say Z to make it consistent. Oh, it did. Yes. So like something like this. So this is the social funnel kind of broken down very, very succinctly, right? You have your short form, which is like your Reels, TikTok, that kind of stuff that generates attraction, right? And then what you want to do at that point is you want to start promoting your YouTube videos on side of your social channels as well. So you have your short form going all the time, that's generating attraction, that's hitting top of funnel. You have your YouTube being promoted on your page every single week, that's hitting your middle of the funnel. And then you have a CTA at some point in the week, not every single day, but driving conversations. And then that's how you kind of start booking appointments out of your page, right? I know I went through that really fast. Do you have any questions on that?
It made sense.
So the cool thing about this is like you're gonna have people that are gonna be ready to buy your stuff by the time they make it on the call with you if they've watched a few of your videos, right? I was reading the book $100 Million Leads, and Alex Ramosi was talking about a fun fact in there. He did like a poll of all the people who bought from him in the business gym launch, and actually found out that people consumed 2 YouTube videos of his before they bought from him. So they just built the marketing around like how can they get them to watch 2 YouTube videos before they got on a phone call, for example. So that can be something interesting, but we're actually actively testing that right now, that like social funnel strategy that I just broke out right there.
Dope.
Yeah, they need 7 hours worth of content to consume if you want them to be ready to buy. So that means you gotta make YouTube content. You've gotta become an influencer.
Right. Well, you don't even have to become an influencer. What I found is that like just having the video there, and if people like your short form content, you don't even have to have a lot of followers, but they're like, oh, I like Dylan. Let me go see if he has YouTube videos. Oh, he does. They watch a couple YouTube videos and like, oh man, Dylan could probably help me with sales. And then they message Dylan, and then it's over. and then Dylan signs them up for PCI Plus. Okay.
Dope.
Cool. I think we're right at 1 hour. So I know you guys don't normally go till 7, but I don't have any other prepared material unless Dylan's got something.
I have
I
so
think
many
Kara has a
questions.
question.
I
Okay,
always ask it.
I'm
I
down to
always
answer
have
questions.
questions. Okay. Number one is I find that when we are moving this process to another employee who's not a senior member who like really understands this, it falters. So how do you go about a process that allows you to create these SOPs and really nail down all of the messaging that they need in order to be able to take on this task?
That's a great question. So I would say 2 things. One, you need like call it a setter's Bible, but you need like a Bible. Like, and what I mean by that is that they need to know what they're going to do every single, like down to the minute, ideally. If you want someone that like execute this very, very well, and like, let's say it's their only task is to do appointment setting, then they need to have like a daily standard operating procedure that, you know, you're doing this at this time, this at this time, this I have an example. Hold on. Let me pull it up right here.
Yeah, Kara's like, yes, yes. I need it too, Kara.
Okay, so like here is a great example of that. Right here. Okay, so like this is like my daily SOP, for example, whenever I'm running for appointment setting. But some of this is going to be jargon, right? Because it's relevant to the system, and so it's not relevant to everything. So you have to ask questions. But essentially, they have like a little daily checklist, right? So first thing is like I want them to check Slack, or I want them to check Discord, or whatever I want them to do to make sure that they are up to date with all the stuff that have going on. Then they're going to review feedback from the manager. So somebody who's like giving them feedback on their chat, stuff like that. They're going to review that feedback. And then they're going to go over like call confirmations from yesterday. So, or I guess for the day of. So for example, let's say that you booked 3 appointments yesterday, and all 3 of those appointments are for today. Like they're supposed to show up today. So you would go in and message all the people who are supposed to show and say, hey, like, I'm excited to see you on your call today, you know, looking forward to whatever, right? So that would happen next. Then immediately after that, I would have them find everyone that they have. So I call it a PLD bucket, but what that means is anybody that they've dropped an appointment link to, but hasn't booked an appointment, I want them to find all of those people and follow up with them first. And then the next one, what you got?
How do they track that? Like, do you have a tracking sheet where they're like, I asked this person?
Correct. Yes. So I use it. I track it in tags.
In tags?
Yes, in tags.
What platform are you referencing in tags?
Yeah. So I use a platform called MiniChat because this is like because this is for what I do.
Okay.
But hold on one second. So like I use a bunch of tags. So like for example, on a like if I go to a lead right now and I open up one of these chats, I can see all these tags on the right side. And so these tags will tell me like different stages of where they're at in the conversation.
Okay. And does the ManyChat, is it connecting to like all like LinkedIn, everything, or is it just
So
like,
you can do this and go high level with tags too.
Yeah.
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 So that's
But
what I
LinkedIn,
would do is I would just kind of mirror it and go high level.
okay. Yeah, we have something like that already set up for our LinkedIn because we use Connected, but
Yeah, you'd have to build out the tagging system inside Connected.
yeah, we have that. But you're saying, okay. Would you be opposed to sharing this document?
No, I can share this document. That's cool.
That would be awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, these SOPs are very very hard fought, but you know I like you guys, so it's cool. You can see them.
Appreciate that. We appreciate that.
Okay, but yeah, so yeah, so the next one would be like, so this is like appointments, like so people that are close to setting an appointment, we want to follow up with those people, right? Then the next one is like people that are still being qualified or haven't or ghosted us or anything like that. Then we would set those people, right? So it's just, but you see how I mean? Like it's just like very very granularly in depth in terms of what I want them to do. And then even the script side is also like very granularly in depth as well. So like I'll show you an example. So like this was an outbound script for this particular client, right? And so I've got it like, this is what you say for the opener. You wait for the reply, then here's the next reply, you know, and it's like, here's the next reply. So it's like, it's very scripted out. Like I would say most of it is like like the conversation flow has been mostly figured out already. And it's just more about like the particular person adding their little spin. So like I have like places in here where you can add like a personalized reply, for example. So it's like, but you see what I mean? Like it's very much like having a sales script, except it's a chat script. It's very end to end scripted out.
So the core elements of what I'm seeing here for this Bible is all of the scripting done out. Do you ever do like a flow, like a work chart? Like if they say this, do this, and then that links over to the message, or just like a linear version of what you just showed me?
So I find that if you can do a one that you're talking about right there, the one that's a little more dynamic.
Yeah.
But I find that like visually, it makes it hard for the person who is like executing that. They need to see what the conversation looks like from end to end, like what's like the checkpoints and the destination, and then they can have like a flow chart on the side that's like all the additional stuff, like, hey, if they say this, then say this,
Okay.
Yeah, I find that it's better to have it separate like that than like together into like one document.
So you've got scripting, flowchart. We're not using like a spreadsheet. You're using tags to track everything, plus that SOP. Is there anything else that I'm missing to be able to properly delegate this out?
No, I think that's pretty much it. And then obviously, I don't know how you work with a team member, right? But obviously that's part of it too, is also making sure that the team member is executing the SOP and the tasks like as you want them to, and then giving them the feedback to make sure that they are. What I would recommend is like when you're building your SOP to like during the training phase specifically, would be to have different parts of the checkpoint where they have to manually check in with you. So for example, it's like, hey, okay, whenever you finish, like let's say whenever you finish following up with all the people who haven't responded back to us yet, then send me a message, right? And you can kind of like build in a feedback loop that's based on their tasks. So that way you can always be up to date in terms of, okay, how fast do they do this? How fast do they not do it? Right? Oh, that should have taken them 3 hours to get that done. We need to speed them up type stuff, right?
What's your favorite follow-up message for when people don't respond to you?
My favorite follow-up message. I honestly, I like hello ? Is pretty good. I'd say I get a lot of replies on that. Just a question mark is good. Honestly, it's nothing too crazy, too clever per se. And I have this one meme that we send sometimes if they like really, really ghost us. So it's like if they haven't responded after like 5 messages, we have a meme that we send. It's like, don't you think about ghosting me? And it's like, what's the guy with the eye patch from
Matrix.
From the Marvel movies?
Fury.
Nick Fury.
Fury, yeah. So it's Fury, and it's a meme, and it says, "Don't you think about ghosting me?" We send that one. That one works pretty good too. So funny ones work really well.
I've been testing a new funny one, and it's based on Tinder. And it's been working really, really well for me. And it goes, first name, if this were Tinder, would you swipe right on an 8 to 12% partnership for 5 to 100 qualified leads per day?
That's awesome. They're like, yeah, I swipe right to that. It does get to the point really fast. I like that.
Yeah. That's why I was just curious, like, what else is there out there that would be a good fit to follow up with that would be funny?
I like memes. I think memes are really clever. Obviously, it has to be the right one, and it has to be within like placed correctly and with good humor. Because sometimes you can have a funny meme, but you send it at the wrong time and they receive it the wrong way, and you end up making a joke whenever, and they start getting upset with you. So yeah. I'm not gonna say I've done that a few times, but I'm gonna tell you that they get upset. Perfect.
How do you coordinate for a team? Like, obviously from the different ways of leads, you have like the most engaged people who are messaging you. Then you have like your story views, people who comment. Those are like engagement, right? All the way down to the bottom of, okay, cool, we're going to go and outreach these people and we're going to give context. That's like cold. So how do you gauge like from your reps of like, okay, cool, you guys are going to hit all of warm first and then work your way backwards and then hit cold later when you're done caught up on warm? Or do you recommend hiring separate reps of like, hey, your full-time job is focusing on just cold and then you'll get promoted later to being able to handle warm?
So I think that's a great question. And so what I would say is what I've been doing is separating it into roles. So I would say for the most part, when I was working with these clients and we started to scale up a little more, so lead flow is like starting to increase for like, and we want that obviously, lead flow needs to increase in order to, make more money. So, anyway, I say that to say that as lead flow has increased, it's made it more important to separate the tasks, into separate people. Whereas like I used to have my team do everything, right? Now I'm kind of going into like having them be a little more specialized so that way they can handle more volume, if that makes sense. So I am going to bring in actually somebody who is going to be just a straight hourly person to test that out against like my current team. But to your point, I think it's based on volume, Dylan, to answer that question shortly. It's like if you got so many inbound leads that it doesn't matter, then yeah, just have like I don't think you just let them have at it whenever they can, But if you don't have that luxury of having a lot of inbound, then I think that you have to have everyone do more of the other stuff.
Makes sense.
Are you able to drop the link to the SOP?
Yes.
Thank you so much. And then a follow-up question on the team. How long do you spend training up that person, and like what's your process? Is it like a watch me do it, we do it, you do it kind of thing, or how do you run through the gauntlet to ensure that you can send them off into the wild?
That's a great question. So yeah, hold on one second. I see this right here. I want to get this for you real quick. All right.
That's how you know Kara's a closer. It's like, can we get a copy of this? Yeah, sure. Then text message, link drop, nothing. Hey, can you send the link? Closed. Done. Action taken. Good job,
Got
Kara.
it. Here we go. There's a link right there. Okay, so your question was how do you train with the people, right? So I think that it's important for if you're going to build a team that's specifically appointment setting, right? And that's all they're doing, they need a daily huddle. They need at least one daily touch. It doesn't have to be like a hour-long call, but it needs to be at least 15-20 minutes of like FaceTime, role playing, something in the training huddles, if that makes sense. So for me, I have 30-minute huddles every morning with my team. And basically, I usually cover three things. Number one, I cover the results from yesterday. So just recapping, hey, here's how many sales we made, here's how many appointments we made, whatever. Recap that first. Then second, I have like some kind of like one big lesson or like one big thing that I saw from reviewing their chats yesterday. And so we have a big discussion in that next time block area where we talk about, okay, hey, why was the problem? Why, how do we do this better? Right? That kind of stuff. And then in the third block, I do a speed run of the fundamentals. So I find that sales is not always about like being super scripted, but also it's just more about like understanding a framework. And then as long as you understand the framework, then if you know it by the back of your hand, then you don't really have to continue training salespeople to do it. They just know the framework and they do it, right? So that's what I'd recommend is like some kind of drilling on like fundamental principles that you want them to cover in the chats or like how they approach it. And that should be a really quick thing. That's like 30 minutes, 45 minutes tops. And then you need to do for like new people, you have to do one-on-ones with them like every couple of days. Because they need especially when they're first starting, they need like that constant feedback to know, okay, am I doing good? Am I doing bad? How am I doing? Right? Could I do it better? And then that sharp feedback loop also keeps it fresh on their mind. So it's really tough to give someone feedback on something they did 4 days ago. But if it just happened 1 hour ago and they can remember the conversation, remember what they were talking about, then that tends to be a lot better in terms of feedback for them.
And where do you find some of your best people, and what are some of the questions and things that you're screening for in order to put somebody through a hiring process?
So when you say best people, I think it depends. So I can answer that question in like 4 different ways. So, um, I guess my question to you with that is, are we saying like no budget, like doesn't matter about the budget, you're not keeping that in mind, you're just looking for the highest quality person and you're going that way? Or are we like budget conscious and you know what I mean? Like I just kind of, what is that strategy there?
Imagine I have 4 different clients, all with different budgets. I'm interested to know the 4 different ways in which you would approach that.
Okay, got it. So I mean, the first one is if you're just looking for somebody who's really good, I would definitely go for somebody in America, right? The only thing is that if the opportunity is not good enough, they're not going to make good money and they're going to quit. And that's a nightmare for you if they want to quit. Um, like especially if you don't have like a lot of setters on the team and stuff yet, that can be pretty stressful. So somebody from America, if the opportunity is really good. If the opportunity is medium, right, meaning like they're going to make some money but not like a lot of money, then I would go for like a different country. Like Colombia is pretty good, South Africa is pretty good. South Africa is really good actually. Like the rand is like one US dollar to like 19 African American rand, which is pretty nice. So uh like that's pretty good. And then depends on the niche too. So for example, if it's like really technical, like I have like one of my clients does life insurance, for example, right? Like that is a super highly technical like thing to even set appointments for because people ask like some pretty crazy questions. So I couldn't have a guy from India set appointments in that account, for example, because like there's a language barrier, it's much tougher, and we're talking all these financial terms and stuff. Um, like a native speaker in India didn't wasn't able to like set appointments in that account at the level that we really wanted to, you know. So that's how I'd look at it for like if I have no budget, or if I have high budget, or if I have semi okay budget. Um, does that help?
Yeah, and like how are you hiring them? Is there certain platforms? Are you running Facebook ads, TikTok ads? Like how are you getting these people in?
So usually, this is pretty funny. So usually either they message me and they try to become a setter for me, and I'm like, oh, actually I hire setters, and they're like, oh, okay, you know. So that's been one way. The other one is Upwork. Upwork has been really good for in general, for hiring talent, especially in like the chat appointment stuff. I've always got good stuff from them. Um, I mean, it depends on if you're okay with poaching, right? But sometimes I'm just gonna say it, right? I'm just gonna say it. But like, you can also go find the top setter coach out there, and I bet the people that follow the top setter coach are also setters.
Very cool. And what's your take on AI? Like why like are you using AI to do any of this? Like why not be able to take this Bible and train AI to do this?
So that's a good point. I'm actually in the process of doing that right now. I actually have a little project on the back end where I'm working on that already, but not for appointment setting, but for chat closing. So actually like taking payment through chat. So I'm excited for that. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Um, I've been working on that for like 4 months now. So it's getting there. We'll see. But I'm not quite there to show it to anybody yet. But to your point, yes, I am doing that. The biggest solution that's out there right now is like AI appointment setting though. So yeah, I mean I think I've seen like probably like a few ads for that now, like 4 or 5. The biggest thing I see with AI appointment setting though that I don't like is that it's not really qualifying people. It's just like putting them through the questions and then booking pretty much everyone, you know? So to me, that's a little deceiving because it's like, all right, well, yeah, I can have AI book 100% appointments for me, but do I want all 100 of those appointments? Not really. You know, that's why the human is there, right? The human is there to make sure that they act as like the gatekeeper to make sure you don't get all the bad stuff. Dylan was actually working with a guy. I'm not gonna say his name, but he actually hired an AI solutions guy to build out something for him, and he ended up hiring him after a couple months because it didn't work. I wonder why.
Yeah,
I'll
we
just
just
keep
got pitched. we got pitched the AI thing. Well, Coral got pitched the AI thing. She's like, babe, look at this. And I'm just like, oh, again? Like, I'm so
That was
done
my
for
first
this
time
shit.
hearing about it. I was like, oh, that's dope. I mean, other than from Kara, but that's it.
I think it's cool. Like, I think it's a great idea, and it has like the shiny tool thing to it, you know, because it's like, ooh, AI, and not like, but yeah, I'm not impressed yet.
I think it's all in how you train it. So we taught a whole bunch of agency owners just how to set appointments within Go High Level. And it's like one thing you do want to rely on ChatGPT, you want integration, but you want to have an emulator. So like our business partner at the time that we were running that with, we had an emulator before. So you could just train the fuck out of it. Instead of just providing it with a document of source of information with tonality, you actually wanted to prompt it with everything that your prospects would say and then exactly how it should respond. So something to consider for you for future.
Yeah,
I think it's totally possible.
that's awesome, 100%. No, I agree. I think I've seen that. Did they use chat base?
It's my boy Quentin. He's like all up in AI language. Like I don't know
Got
if
it,
you've
got
heard
it.
of Capri.ai.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard of Capri. Yeah.
Yeah. Quentin's the shit. VPNs and all that business, getting banned, all that, like using the profiles of these people, like my profile, and then having somebody in the Philippines logging onto VPN and using it. We know that Facebook doesn't like that. Like, what's your take on that and like using those tools to access the profiles?
Honestly, I don't use them, and I've never had an issue for the many years that I've been doing it. So I think I personally I haven't seen the issue that people are describing there. But you're not the first person that's ever brought that up to me. But even for my team right now, like I have them all, there's no VPNs. We all have them logged into the client accounts and everything is going fine.
Interesting.
There's also a
Okay.
trust factor as well, right? I mean, obviously you're having, someone from another country log into your stuff and everything. Yeah. So what I found to be a good rule for that is getting them to be okay with using their Instagram on another device. Like their personal one. Because sometimes what will happen is like they'll accidentally try to post something, but it'll be on the client account instead of, their personal one, which is always kind of funny whenever you have something else get posted and it's like, oh, someone's working there. Yeah. Thanks, Laura.
Sick. Yeah. So before we head off, I respect Wally's time. Dude, super appreciate it. Before he goes, what's everyone's biggest takeaways? What did you guys like about the presentation?
All the examples you shared and how you do it. I think that was really helpful. And thanks for sharing all those documents with us still. I think that'll really help us implement things. Appreciate that.
I have a way clearer picture. Sorry, David, go ahead.
No, you can go ahead. You can go ahead.
Thank you. I have a way clearer picture now on the delegate. I'm the lady, trust me. On the delegation of the team, I have a way clearer picture, and this has always been a crux of ours, and I think I see it much clearer. So I really appreciate you being so transparent and sharing your process with us today. It was awesome.
Yeah, no problem. Absolutely.
Yeah. So before I was working with VGM, I was a chart setter for a business coach before I started work with VGM. And to be honest, we didn't get a ton of results. And it makes sense now why we didn't, to be honest. It makes a whole lot of sense better. I'm seeing the context, I'm seeing the idea of context, I'm seeing the idea of making it personal, because that stood out for me. So we talked about the quality versus quantity idea. So instead of going for a ton of volume, why not just find quality and latch onto that and give context and give context to that? That makes a whole lot of sense, actually. So I just wanted to say that.
Yeah, absolutely. That's super important. That's like I have this battle all the time, and I think that it's because on phones, right? In sales, whenever you're on the phone, you can't see their face, right? Like there's no social media profile, there's nothing for you to look at. So you're calling and there's nothing for you to really leverage, So that one is more of a volume game. But because this one's more social media, we can look at their profile and make sure that they're a good fit and somebody we want to actually talk to before we do it. It's kind of like on the phone you can have one conversation at once, but then like in chat you could be talking to like 100 people at once, like in a sales conversation, which to me is so cool because you can like manage like sales conversations at scale.
Heck yeah. Well, awesome. Wally, man, as always, appreciate your time. Thanks for, sharing all the gold nuggets and the documents, and look forward to everyone implementing and sharing the results with you. For those that are watching a replay, we'll make sure that this, first of all, gets posted. I'll get this recording from Wally. We'll get it into the back end, and I'll make sure to get the links below the video for anyone to catch on the replay if you guys want to have access to his documents. So, Wally, thanks everyone for showing up. I hope everyone has a wonderful night, and I'll catch you guys on Tuesday.